everyone. I'm Dennis Dove, host of Thankful Heritage Museum podcast. We appreciate you for tuning in and supporting us today. I'm here with Mr. Effley Howell Sr. He is the founder and CEO of the Thankful Heritage Museum, which is located in Kernersville, North Carolina. During this podcast, Effley will share great knowledge and insight about the origin and history of various African American artistic, cultural, and historical materials from his museum collection. After you see the podcast, we ask that you continue to discuss and share the information with your family and friends. Keep the discussion going. It's really good information. So, Effley, I have a couple questions for you. And so the first question I have for you, tell us a little bit about your company and the services that you provide.
Well, Thankful Heritage is a mobile Black History museum, and we started in 1993. We're 27 years old, and we go to the schools, the churches, community centers, and we teach African American history and diversity. And so it is an opportunity for the seniors to take a trip down memory lane, as well as an opportunity for the youth to see many of the things that their grandparents, parents, and teachers have taught them about dealing with civil rights, race relations. And it's also an opportunity to see some of the things that may be around your own home that may be of value.
Exactly, of value. So I know that you have a couple items kind of formatted the show. You've got some items you like to share with our viewing audience with some history behind it, some further insight. And so let's transition to those items. I know that we have some of, just a lot of intrigue, and we'll share that with the viewing audience. So I think the first thing that we have is right below us, and we're going to pull it up here. Yes. And hopefully the viewing audience can see it. And if you could kind of describe it and give us that information.
Yes, this is a advertisement that Pet Milk Company did for their product, and they used the Fultz quads. These were the only black quads in the world at that time, around 1947, 48, and they were from Reidsville, North Carolina. And so it was just a great history to be able to see these young blacks and to be able to see them in advertisements. And Ebony had them on their cover as well as on their advertising in their magazines. And the girls got to go to the White House and with all the presidents during their early age, all the way up to the 60s with John Kennedy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was just an amazing thing to see these young black girls who later went to a HBCU, and it is a wonderful history behind the Fultz quads, how they came about as some of the earliest advertisements that we had, especially the positive advertisements in the 40s and 50s and 60s.
In the Reidsville, just down the road from where we're at in Kernersville, so it's not very far away. So I'm sure in North Carolina, they were very, very popular.
Oh, yes. Yes, they were. And the last one just passed away this year. And so the history behind them is great. The Greensboro News and Record ran a special on them where they had, I think, 5 series of newspapers. And they used some of our artifacts, our posters, and to show the girls and to talk about their history. But we hear about the Dominique quintets, and there's other quads that you hear about, but these were the only identical black quads in the world. And so it's just wonderful to see these young ladies and then to see them grow into through college and into their older age.
Did you ever have a chance to meet them in real life or to see them somewhere in the community?
Well, yes, I did get a chance year before last to go to church and meet one of the quads, the last surviving one before she passed. and it was amazing because some of the artifacts that I had and some of the information I had that she did not have, and it was a great opportunity to, to pass some of this information on to her because she said that was the first time that she got to see some of her family members in many years.
And I know that felt good for her, and to connect with some family members she hadn't seen in a long time. What was her age during that time that she passed? You remember?
And I'm not sure, but I believe she was at least in her 70s.
In her 70s.
Because she was born in 1946.
Gotcha. Okay, I was wondering because I wasn't sure of the date of birth, but yeah. That's fascinating because that's something you don't see very often. Definitely, quads, period, and then identical, and then them being African American females. So if you had a chance to experience just meeting them and seeing them all together, I'm sure it was a fascinating experience.
Yeah, all the other three had passed because of cancer.
Right. Okay, it was cancer.
All of them ended up with cancer at one time, and so I don't know exactly what she passed. What caused her death, but it was wonderful to go to the church to do a Black History exhibit, and then to find out that she attended that. That was exciting because it was just wonderful, and I encouraged the viewing audience. We have different people in our communities and the surrounding communities that have done a lot of things and are famous, and it's just great when you can tell them you appreciate them and what they have done.
Exactly. Now you can see my face. Now that's wonderful being able to share that information about the folks quads in Reedsville, North Carolina. Locally grown.
Oh yes.
All right, so I think you have another item that we wanted to share with the viewing audience, and it appears to be some fans, and I'm sure fans look very simple. We know what they do, but they have a connection with our heritage.
Yes, they do. A lot of times in church now, we go and we see famous fans, famous people's faces on fans, and such as Dr. King, and we also see this here is Mahalia Jackson. But as we were coming up, a lot of fans were maybe the European version of Jesus on the fan, or just writing. But the Black family is one of the fans that we have, and they were some of the early ones that were showing up. And so if you have some of these fans, then they are bringing quite a bit of money, and they are, take you back in history, where you say, I remember going to church and we had that fan and seeing that image. Because these were some of the first images that were positive by the Black community, for the Black community. But also on the back of the fan, it was advertisement for local businesses, usually funeral homes and different businesses in that community. And so it was just a great way to see our history and a great way to fall back on something that is simple, advertisement by the folk squads or the first Ebony or Jet magazine is something that you may not have or see, but something like a newspaper or a church fan is something that all of us can remember, and all of us had an experience of it.
And as you indicated, when you think about fans, very simple, like I talked about earlier. But just the images that it portrayed, when you did go to church, I can remember as a little boy going into church, and I didn't necessarily need a fan, but grandmama or mama needed a fan, or sister or whomever needed a fan, and you saw the positive images of African Americans, as this one is, with a family. Nuclear family is a little bit different today, but anytime you're able to see positive images about us and our people, that's great, because there's so many negative images out there, especially electronically, and we just need to make sure that we value family, and we can portray it as positive as we can. So as you indicated, the fans definitely did that, and I can remember on the back, a lot of times seeing the funeral information, funeral homes and things of that nature, and you'd also see fans with African Americans that own funeral businesses probably in the local communities. Is that true?
Right, that is true. Most of the early fans were by the funeral companies, and they would advertise, and and I guess while you're at church and you're praising, then also there may be a time that you may need.
So you see grandmama over the back, she be grandmama be over the back, boy, she be hot, she be waving that fan. And or you know what, if you bad in church, you might get hit by that fan too. Because I remember that also.
Right.
So it had a dual purpose, didn't it?
It sure did. The fans and the calendars were ways that the funeral homes would advertise. And so now we look back and it's like, well, yeah, I remember, the funeral, and you may even have the obituary.
Okay.
And it'll have the name of the funeral company there. So
see, that's wonderful. Something so simple, but like you said, it's just very important that we convey positive messages. And it's also a marketing tool.
yes,
For businesses that they can pass out, and it's a way to share information. To families and folks that attend events, especially church services.
Amen.
All right,
right.
gotcha.
Yeah. All right.
So I think coming up next, we had the Folks Twins, we had the fans, and now we've got another artifact here from your collection. And who is this?
Yes, this is Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber.
The Brown Bomber. All right.
Yes. And so this is a clock. And it is a bronze brass advertisement for Joe Louis. Now, Joe Louis won the championship in 1937. And before him was Jack Johnson. So Jack Johnson won the championship in 1909. And in 1914, he had to give it up. And so they would not let another black fight for the championship from 1914 until 1937 when Joe Louis won the championship. But he was not allowed to do the things that Jack Johnson did. And that was part of his contract, that he could not talk junk to white people in the ring. He could not take pictures with white women. He could not just brag how good he was. But Joe Louis won the championship without doing that, and he held it for 11 years and 7 months.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yes.
Especially in boxing.
Yes, a long time, and they had people all over the world, trying to knock him out. And so he had a famous fight in the, because he did lose after he won with Matt Smelling, but then he came back, and then after he beat Smelling that time, then he would hold it for 11 years and 7 months. But Joe Louis was the first icon. He was before Jackie Robinson.
Okay.
And he fought for integration of the military. And he was definitely an icon for early black history in the 30s and 40s and 50s. And he was just, it was just amazing that what he did and how he fought in the military. And he also was just an outstanding American citizen and a friend of Jesse Owens.
Okay.
And, they were two of the first blacks who were allowed to compete, and they won and represented America greatly.
And I can remember my dad talking about the fights. I guess when they were growing up, they would tune into the radio and hear the heavyweight fights or just the fights in general. And Joe Louis, you would be some of those fights, and people would be gathering around to kind of see and hear. Well, they couldn't see; you had to hear what was going on. But it was kind of a family event.
Yes.
You get your family together, you listen to the fight. They have a meal, and you were rooting for Joe Louis, to beat the opponent, and he was very good at what he did. If you could think about the attributes that he had as a boxer, what things come to your mind that he was really unique?
Well, he had power punching, and he would just take his time. And once he got in range to hit you, then his body shots would win the fights.
Okay.
And he was not a fighter who was easily hit. And so he was just able to take the crowd out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and they fought in just big stadiums,
Mm-hmm.
and so he was just a man who was able to just capitalize on his skills.
On the skill set. So it was the first time that if you ever wanted to see how it felt to get hit by a brick,
Yes.
then it was the Brown Bomber could show you.
He could show you. That's right.
All right. Well, thank you for that one. We got transition, kind of keep it going for our viewing audience. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the information that we're sharing with you regarding these items. You definitely check out Thankful Heritage Museum website, thankfulheritagemuseum.org, and you can find out additional information as well as get in contact with Effley, and he can talk to you specifically about any of the items that we're sharing today. But I see that you've got a lunchbox. I can remember having a lunchbox when I was a little kid growing up, especially it being metal. You hardly ever see these now.
Right.
And I used to love picking out my lunchbox before going to school. And when school started, and then they would have all different kinds, superheroes and
yes.
things of that nature. So you got really excited about the mailbox you could pick out. But I see that I said mailbox, lunchbox, I'm sorry. This lunchbox has some history associated with it, right?
Oh, yes. Yes, this is a Julia lunchbox.
Mm-hmm.
And Julia was the first African American that was on TV that had her own show.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very popular. She was a nurse, a professional woman. And with her and her son, they would deal with issues of the day. But it was wonderful for the black community to be able to tune in and see a positive image of an African American woman. Mm-hmm. And not only the black community, but it was important for the white community to also be able to see a program where a woman would be speaking correct English. She would be dressed to the tens, as we say. She would always be doing the right thing, and she was not selling her body during the show. And so it was just class. It was class. It was education. It was what we needed. And, thank the Lord for Diane Carroll, who played Julia. And the lunch boxes are very important. There's other ones that we have that
fit in there, right?
Yeah. This was the thermos.
Yeah, the thermos.
Goes in it.
You get that juice of milk that mama put in there with that sandwich, peanut butter and jelly. You be ready.
And so this is 1969.
1969. Wow.
And
So definitely got some history on that one.
Yes.
But like you were saying, the positive images of African American females at the time, you didn't really see. I mean, you saw them in a lot of stereotypical roles, and this was kind of the first time you saw on network television, that you could see a positive role model in a job that was professional, was taking care of son, had showing the interactive communications of what family life was and should have been, versus a lot of stereotypical roles that African Americans, males and females, were placed in over time. So I think that's one of the very important things. So it commemorates, that effort, and definitely something to cherish, with that history. Diane Carroll, she was a very beautiful young lady, very, very striking, but also very smart. So you had to equate the beauty and the intellect, together, and she definitely portrayed a positive role model. Is that correct?
That is correct. You hear a lot about the Jeffersons and about good times and about how the good times did not make it and they were just stuck in the ghetto, or the Jeffersons were up there, and moving on up. But long before them was Julia, and she was just, out there, professional, and it was a feel-good, type program. So we appreciate that. And then to be able to go to the Ebonies and Jet magazines and see Julia and know that it was part of the whole culture and part of our the pride that we have, then it was just great.
Great to see it, and definitely something to cherish. Yes. And she was good people.
Yes.
So if you have lunch boxes in the garage, or even the ones that have characters or famous people on. You may want to make sure that you keep those items and cherish those items because they definitely have a lot of memories.
Oh yes.
All right.
All right.
So I know that you've got another item that you're going to share with us, and this one is the pretty striking in what it says. But during the time, I guess when it was posted in different areas, in the United States, it portrayed the message that they wanted to portray. And so if you could share what it says and the information behind it, I'm sure the viewing audience would be appreciative.
Okay, this is a Jim Crow sign, and usually you'll see a sign that says whites only, colored waiting room, or coloreds pointing to the balcony. And so this one here is one that says no dogs, no Negroes, no Mexicans. And so out of all the Jim Crow signs, this is one of the ones that I think, makes people stop and look when they come through the collection and they see, maybe 15 or 20 different signs. And I wanted the audience to be able to see this because we were treated bad, as it was treated as subhumans, and we had to go where these signs were posted. And so it is just important to know that people fought for our rights and fought so that we would not have to go to the back of the bus, or so that we could go into the restaurants and movie theaters and go to the parks and, utilize the swimming pools and the different activities because we were paying taxes, but we were not allowed to go there until the 1965 Civil Rights Act.
And that's when you look at the signs, like, man, it was very serious during that time. I mean, you're equated with, Latinos and African Americans equated with dogs. To the lowest level. But that was the thought process during that time. That no association, didn't want to have any association with us, and but definitely something that we're continuing to overcome and to understand that we're all put here for a reason,
Right.
But this was a moment in time. It was a moment in time, and when I look at it, when I hold it, it definitely strikes a feeling within me, and that doesn't necessarily give good vibes, but people need to know. We need to know about our history, and we need to know the things that our forefathers and foremothers went through, and that's one of the most important reasons why we're going through this podcast and being able to share the information by Mr. Effley Howell, who has many more that we're going to bring to you. But such a valuable source of information. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with the viewing audience about this? Yep.
Well, no, I think just basically there will be a lot more signs coming up. There's a lot of things that we will be bringing to you. Every year I will go to the largest black memorabilia show in the United States, up to Gaithersburg, to the national show. And so it's just wonderful to be able to walk around and see vendors who have these things for sale. But then we've been collecting so long, and now we have a way of bringing them to you while we are getting ready to transition into our own permanent museum, hopefully in 2021.
In 2021, all right. So I know that's going to happen. This is wonderful. We have a bonus item. Because we only really picked out 5 items that we wanted to share with you today. But I was telling Effley, I said, these things are so rich in information and history. Let's give them a bonus item. So he went through his collection and he found something that he wanted to share with you guys. And it definitely strikes a chord with me when I initially saw it earlier. But you're getting a little bit of reflection off of the lights we have in our studio facility. But Effley, if you could share what this is to them so they can see what it is.
Yes, this is the slave hunting dog's collar. And basically, it is a collar that would fit around the dog and it has spikes in it. And so, whenever the slaves would escape, they would turn their dogs loose with this collar on it. And the slaves could usually choke a dog if he got close enough and they could grab him. And so, in order for them not to be able to do that, they started to put spikes on the outside of the collar so that it would cut his hands. And so then after it started cutting his hands, then he would get weak or bloody or hurt, and he couldn't hold the dog. And then, another dog could come and bite him, or either someone would come and take him back into captivity. So we see the branding irons and the whips and shackles, but very seldom do we see the dog's collar. So this is one of the rare pieces of memorabilia that we have in the collection.
And I was going to say, this is very rare. When I saw it, I didn't know what it was. I was thinking it was, I just had no idea. Then I saw this, slave hunting dog's collar. It's just, like I said, I mean, you can't even put it into words. And being this close to it, man, it's giving me some chills. And you could just imagine what during that time frame of slavery and what our people went through, and just, having to deal with this, just terrible pieces of material to hold us down, to hold us back.
Yes.
So we wanted to be able to share this with you. And our whole purpose is basically just keep dialogue going. Keep dialogue going in your household as you talk to your friends, and let them know that this kind of stuff existed. And obviously, we don't want to go back to this, never. And but it does. We need to know what happened in our past,
Right.
And I think that's one of the more important things as you share information, and let them know what the thought process of people were, during that time. So. That's why we wanted to share it. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about regarding this?
Yes, just one more thing. And remember, everything that we show you, this is the Black history that is within American history.
American history, okay.
So this happened on the shores.
On the shores.
Over
on
here.
our land.
On our land.
Okay.
Man.
All right. All right. Well, thank you. I think that kind of wraps up our program today. And we are finished with today's Thankful Heritage Museum podcast. Thank you, Effley. Appreciate your knowledge and your time that you spent. Hopefully the viewers tuning in were able to see something that they could discuss. Actually, even go out and do your own research. Because that's one thing. Every time I go through this process, every time I talk to this gentleman, I find out more about our heritage and our culture. And that's what motivates me to want to do this show and be able to share it with you all. So I would say, in addition, check out the daily Thankful Heritage Museum facts about Black history on Dennis Dove, my Facebook page, or Dink Digital Productions Facebook page. It's also forthcoming with Thankful Heritage Museum Facebook page. That's in the works. But until then, you can get some daily facts about Black history. If you've been following me, you see them every day, usually around about 7 a.m. or before 9 a.m. every day. And just something to spur your thought and get you thinking about Black history, because that's who we are, and that's who we need to know more about. Don't forget to tune in to our next podcast, Facebook Live, which is scheduled for Saturday, December 12th at 12 noon. So that'll be our next show. So feel free to tune in, as well as telling other folks about the show. You'll also be able to see it on Facebook once this show is done. So, once you get it, share it with other folks that you're connected to, because we want to get everybody to find out about the show and the information that's detailed as much as possible.
YouTube also.
And YouTube also. We also shot an extra show before this one, and we're going to play that on November 28th, which is a Saturday, and you'll be able to see it during that time frame. And it'll be on Dink Digital Productions Facebook page. So if you need any services from Thankful Heritage Museum, we ask you to go to his website, which is www.thankfulheritagemuseum.org for more information. If you need any photo, video, or web design services, hey, give me a call or get in contact with me via my website, www.dinkdigitalproductions.com for more information. This podcast was brought to you by Dink Digital Productions and Thankful Heritage Museum. Please share this podcast with your friends and family as we indicated before. Until next time, God bless you. Take care and be thankful for your heritage. Peace.